James Patrick Jimmy Page was born on January 9, 1944 in Heston, Middlesex, England. He began playing the guitar at age 12 after hearing Elvis Presley's Baby Let's Play House on the radio. In his late teens and early 20s, he quickly became one of the most renowned session guitarists in London. Consequently, he joined the Yardbirds and played with them until their eventual end in 1968. The Yardbirds' demise turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Page, as it allowed him to find new, more skilled bandmates. Page ended up settling on a former session mate, John Paul Jones, as the bassist and multi-instrumentalist, and then relative unknowns Robert Plant and John Bonham for vocals and drums, respectively. These four formed Led Zeppelin, and the rest is rock and roll history. It is Page's accomplishments while playing the roles of guitarist, songwriter, producer, and general creative driving force during Led Zeppelin's reign from 1968 to 1980, which make him a futurist. From the very beginning of Led Zeppelin's existence, Page was a visionary. On their self-titled debut album, released in January 1969, Page unleashed guitar sounds which had never been heard before. On standout tracks Dazed and Confused and How Many More Times, he played his guitar with a violin bow, creating a sound ethereal, haunting, and impossibly exciting. Page's use of the bow is a prime example of his futurist tendencies, as it shows, as Steve Waxman notes, that he, like Hendrix before him, is concerned with using the electric guitar to expand the sonic palette of rock, and is further interested in increasing the possible sounds derived from the guitar itself. Page has been compared on numerous occasions to the violinist Paganini, one of the more recognized classical virtuosos, as well as to Mozart, who is certainly a virtuoso and a futurist. One rock writer asserts that Page has this whole idea of how to play that is so unique, so dissonant, so out of step with the norm, that he develops a new language. The main riff of Whole Lotta Love provides an excellent example of this. While most guitarists would stay within the boundaries of the song's key, Page creates tension by juxtaposing consecutive chromatic notes before relieving the listener by returning to the song's key. In the second half of every cycle through the riff, he bends the A string on the 5th fret just enough to create dissonance with the simultaneously played open D string. This results in a blend of two notes, a D and an A sharp. This goes against basic music theory, yet sounds so incredible it is somewhat astonishing that no one thought to do so before Page came along. Page utilizes this technique 4 years later on the song Jamaica. Page did not merely play outside of the box. It is questionable whether or not he considered there to be a box at all. One important criterion for qualifying as a futurist is having some element of intentionality to one's trailblazing, and Page was certainly a deliberate innovator. Aerosmith's Joe Perry characterized Page's futurist tendencies as a vision of how to transcend the stereotypes of what the guitar can do. Page desired a future for music where all the different facets of the arts and the musical sphere are accepted readily by the media and the public. Page came as close as he ever would to bringing this vision to fruition on Led Zeppelin IV, an album so brilliant in its synthesis of acoustic and electric elements and of seemingly disparate genres that 45 years after its release, nothing has come close to surpassing it, a pinnacle of recorded rock music. True to Page's vision, it is one of the few albums which has been received extremely well by both fans and critics. It has sold over 23 million copies in the United States alone and has received rave reviews ever since its release. Page's innovations as a player also led to him being a futurist in the realm of technology. On Whole Lotta Love, Page makes extensive use of the theremin, a strange electronic instrument which had scarcely been used in popular music prior to this, aside from its subsidiary role during the chorus of the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations in 1966. Page also used the theremin 4 years later on No Quarter. Although this innovation of Page's has only caught on sparsely in the wider music community, it demonstrates Page's futurist tendencies nonetheless, always searching for novel ways to turn the listener on. The theremin, however, is not Page's biggest contribution to musical technology. Led Zeppelin's magnum opus, Stairway to Heaven, caused Page to have a double-necked guitar made specially for him by Gibson. This was necessary in order for the band to be able to perform the complex song live without bringing in a second guitarist. The double and even triple neck guitar has become an iconic rock image and has been used by many famous guitarists since Page started the trend, perhaps most notably by Don Felder of the Eagles on their 1977 hit Hotel California. Page's technological gaze to the future was also present in Led Zeppelin's live show. At their 5 sold-out nights at Earl's Court in London in May 1975, the band became one of the first to use a large video screen at a concert. Video screens are now used at essentially every concert in a venue larger than a small club. Beyond being a visionary on the guitar, Jimmy Page was also a revolutionary producer. Starting from the very beginning of Led Zeppelin's time on their debut album, Page was able to capture Bonham's drums with a power and authenticity which had not been heard on record before. Page achieved this by having the microphones much further away from the drums than was common practice at the time. This gave Bonham's drums incredible depth and a very large sound. Page took this technique a step further during the recording of Led Zeppelin IV, when for the album's closing track, When the Levee Breaks, he had Bonham set up his drums at the bottom of a large stairwell, and then placed microphones at the top of the stairwell, resulting in a truly gargantuan drum sound, a sound which has since been sampled and mimicked endlessly. This process was later repeated during the sessions for Physical Graffiti on In My Time of Dying, a song on which the band masterfully takes an old gospel blues song and makes it both entirely their own and unlike anything heard before. Jimmy Page found in Led Zeppelin the perfect conduit through which to channel his futuristic musical ideas as both a player and producer. Page was able to bring these ideas to fruition from the very beginning because Led Zeppelin's initial contract with Atlantic Records granted the band complete artistic control at Page's insistence. Page changed music for the better, unless you ask your grandmother.